In 1976, geologists discovered something unsettling in ice core samples from Greenland. 12,800 years ago, Earth's climate didn't gradually shift. It collapsed. Within decades, temperatures plummeted, megafauna went extinct, and sea levels rose over 400 feet. Some researchers now propose a controversial idea. This wasn't just climate change. It was a reset button. And if it happened once, what stops it from happening again? What if I told you that human civilization might be older than we think? Not by centuries, but by millennia. That before the pyramids, before Mesopotamia, before the first cities we acknowledge in textbooks, there might have been something else, something lost. This is the reset hypothesis, and today we're exploring one of archaeology's most controversial questions. Have advanced civilizations risen and fallen before, leaving almost no trace behind? Let's start with a place that shouldn't exist. In 1994, a German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt began excavating a site in southeastern Turkey called Göbekli Tepe. What he found challenged everything we thought we knew about the timeline of human development. Göbekli Tepe is a massive temple complex with intricately carved stone pillars, some weighing over 20 tons. The stone circles feature detailed carvings of animals, created with remarkable precision. Carbon dating places its construction at around 9,600 BCE, making it approximately 11,600 years old. Here's the problem. According to mainstream archaeology, the people who built this were supposed to be nomadic hunter-gatherers. They hadn't invented writing, metalworking, or even pottery yet. The wheel wouldn't be invented for another 5,000 years. Yet somehow, these so-called primitive people organized labor forces, quarried and transported multi-ton stones, and created architectural complexity that rivals later civilizations. Schmidt himself said Göbekli Tepe is like finding a Boeing 747 in Tutankhamun's tomb. It's chronologically out of place, and it raises an uncomfortable question. What else might we be missing? Now let's talk about what might have caused a reset. Around 12,800 years ago, Earth experienced a dramatic climate event known as the Younger Dryas. Within a human lifetime, global temperatures dropped by up to 15 degrees Celsius. Ice sheets that had been retreating suddenly advanced again. Megafauna went extinct across multiple continents. Mammoths, saber-toothed cats, giant ground sloths, all disappeared in geological terms, almost overnight. For decades, scientists debated the cause. Then, in the early 2000s, researchers discovered a black layer in sediment cores from this exact time period. This layer contains high concentrations of platinum, nanodiamonds, and spherules. These are microscopic glass beads that form under extreme heat. These are markers typically associated with extraterrestrial impacts. The Younger Dryas Impact hypothesis proposes that a comet or asteroid fragment struck Earth, triggering massive wildfires, floods from rapid ice melt, and a climate catastrophe. Geological evidence from the Greenland ice cores shows that sea levels rose over 400 feet as glaciers melted. Here's the critical point. If any advanced coastal civilizations existed before this event, they would now be buried under hundreds of feet of ocean water. We've only mapped about 20% of the ocean floor in detail. What might we find in the other 80%? Let's examine some puzzling examples of ancient knowledge that seem advanced for their time. Consider the Antikythera mechanism, discovered in a shipwreck off the coast of Greece. This 2,000-year-old device is an intricate analog computer used to predict astronomical positions and eclipses. It contains over 30 bronze gears with differential gearing, technology we didn't see again until medieval clocks, over 1,000 years later. Or take the precision of Egyptian stonework. The granite blocks inside the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid fit together with tolerances tighter than a human hair. No mortar, just perfect cutting and placement. Some stones weigh 70 tons and were lifted 150 feet into the air. Modern engineers still debate how this was achieved without advanced tools. Then there's the Piri Reis map from 1513, which appears to show the coastline of Antarctica. Not as it looks today under ice, but as it would have looked ice-free. How did a 16th century admiral have access to information about a continent that wouldn't be officially discovered until 1820? These aren't proof of lost civilizations, but they are data points that don't fit neatly into our standard historical narrative. Now here's where we need to pump the brakes. The vast majority of archaeologists, geologists, and historians do not accept the reset hypothesis. Why? First, there's the evidence problem. If a global advanced civilization existed 12,000 years ago, we should find more than just anomalies. We should find widespread tool deposits, metallurgical sites, large-scale agriculture markers, and DNA evidence of population bottlenecks. We don't. Second, many out-of-place artifacts have conventional explanations. The Antikythera mechanism, while impressive, is consistent with known Greek engineering. The precision of Egyptian stonework can be explained by copper tools, abrasives, and immense patience. The Piri Reis map likely compiled earlier maps with distortions and artistic license, not secret ancient knowledge. Third, the Younger Dryas Impact hypothesis remains controversial. While evidence for an impact exists, some studies have failed to replicate the findings. Alternative explanations include volcanic eruptions or disruptions to ocean currents caused by ice sheet collapse. Most importantly, we have a well-documented archaeological record showing gradual human development. Agriculture emerged independently in multiple regions. Writing systems developed over centuries. Metallurgy shows clear progression from copper to bronze to iron. This doesn't look like inherited knowledge from a lost civilization. It looks like human innovation. Let's do a thought experiment. Imagine a catastrophic event happens tomorrow. A supervolcano eruption, asteroid impact, or cascading nuclear conflict. 99% of humanity dies. The survivors are scattered, focused on basic survival. No internet, no power grids, no supply chains. What would remain of our civilization 10,000 years later? Most of what we build today wouldn't survive. Plastic degrades, steel rusts, concrete crumbles, wood rots. Even our digital records are stored on servers that require constant maintenance. Within a century, most evidence of our cities would be overgrown or eroded. What might survive? Stone monuments, certain types of glass, gold and platinum artifacts which don't corrode, ceramics, and genetic markers in human DNA. That's about it. And if those survivors settled inland to avoid rising seas or unstable coasts, future archaeologists might never find the ruins of our greatest coastal cities, now underwater. This doesn't prove a reset happened, but it does illustrate how difficult it would be to detect one. Here's an unsettling reality. Our current civilization is far more fragile than we think. We depend on global supply chains for food, medicine, and energy. Our knowledge is increasingly digitized, stored in formats that require electricity and technology to access. A 2013 study by the UK government found that if a Carrington event-scale solar storm hit Earth today, it could knock out power grids for months, potentially causing trillions in damage and widespread societal collapse. We came close in 2012 when a massive coronal mass ejection missed Earth by just 9 days. Climatologists warn that we're approaching tipping points. Arctic ice melt, ocean current disruptions, permafrost methane release. These could trigger rapid, irreversible changes. These aren't gradual shifts, they're potential phase transitions. The point isn't to fearmonger, but to recognize that reset events aren't just ancient history. They're ongoing risks. And if we can barely imagine surviving one with all our modern technology, how would pre-industrial societies have fared? So, have civilizations restarted before? Honestly, we don't know for certain. The evidence is fragmentary, controversial, and open to multiple interpretations. But here's what we do know. Humans are far older than agriculture. Anatomically modern humans have existed for at least 300,000 years. For 290,000 of those years, we were hunter-gatherers. Does it make sense that for 97% of our existence, we invented nothing significant? Then suddenly in the last 10,000 years, we went from stone tools to smartphones? Maybe the standard narrative is correct, and agriculture really was the unlock that changed everything. Or maybe, as some researchers suggest, we've been through cycles before. Periods of progress interrupted by catastrophes, leaving only fragments behind. What would future archaeologists think if they dug through our ruins 10,000 years from now? Would they find enough to understand us? Or would we be another mystery, another out-of-place anomaly in someone else's timeline? The reset hypothesis challenges us to question assumptions. It reminds us that absence of evidence isn't always evidence of absence, but it also teaches us to demand rigorous proof before rewriting history. Whether or not ancient advanced civilizations existed, the questions themselves have value. They push us to explore more, study deeper, and stay humble about how much we don't know. What do you think? Could there be lost chapters in human history, or is our timeline more complete than we realize? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this exploration thought-provoking, consider subscribing for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. Thanks for watching.